Hello, Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick.
And I'm Ryan.
This week we are covering Playdate news.
Recent indie releases.
And Terry Lewis and Jimmy jamming our way through the first ever Playdate Uncrank'd Game Jam.
Thank you for listening. Let's get started.
Let's get started indeed.
We will uncover that reference over the next hour.
Oh, come on. We're all Gen Xers. You know who Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis are, right?
No idea what you're talking about.
Are you joking me? Oh, they produced a bunch of Janet Jackson songs and tons of different songs. Anyway,
Okay.
we obviously listen to very different music, you and I, Don.
I guess so.
Okay. Well, with that out of the way, I think we don't have any corrections this week. Is that right?
Probably not, but let's keep rolling. We'll get a correction to our correction soon.
Okay. Sounds like Don's ready for a hoobity boop boop to bring us into the news and notes for this episode. Starting it off with, did you guys see this? That mouse support is available on Playdate. Mr. Ginger Beard Man, Matt Sefton, posted an article about this, mousing around on the old Playdate. There's a little YouTube video here where he mouses out some scrawls. He scrawls out hello and talks about how this was done. And Nick, I think you saw this because you were teasing me, saying that maybe this maybe means that there's some connectivity. I'm making a motion with my hands for everyone listening. Connectivity between playdates might be able to happen. I still haven't reached out to Nevin. Has anybody reached out to Nevin to ask him if that's possible? I shirked my host duties for these past 2 weeks. I've been talking a lot. Somebody else talk. Oh,
Nick made the sound. No, we have not reached out to Nevin. And I watched the video for this mouse thing, and it was really cool. But with my lack of computer skills, the installation instructions looked just barely over my head, so I didn't.
Nick, this is your time to shine.
It's only functional on Mac OS, is my understanding. But the big news here, the exciting thing, is what Ryan mentioned: link cable connectivity, and more importantly, serial connectivity of any kind is possible with the Playdate. So mouse support is a huge deal, and this is really cool. But it really kickstarted my imagination when I realized, after being told repeatedly a few different ways from Gingerbeard Man and a few others, that serial support is actually available in the Playdate SDK, both incoming and outgoing. So there was some talk about the necessity of a microcontroller between Playdates to facilitate link cable connectivity.
Oh, you could daisy chain that up for us, right, Nick?
I could make a little daisy chain thing where each Playdate plugged into a central hub that included the microcontroller and would handle the communication duties. So one Playdate communicates, and then it takes that message and figures out who it needs to be sent to, and on and on. So you could have like a 4-player type situation. But that might not even be necessary if you're just doing Playdate to Playdate connectivity, because there is both incoming and outgoing. So as long as one is set up as the primary, you could have serial connectivity. Maybe that's not even necessary. I'm not sure. I would need to think it through. But I was thinking, and let me tell you how excited I am about this potential Playdate opportunity, using it for communication with industrial devices.
Make it sound exciting.
Make it sound exciting?
Yeah, okay. This is a lot of nerd talk right off the bat.
I like it when you talk nerdy to me, Nick.
We're getting a lot of clicks to other podcasts. Make it sound really exciting.
No, we're not. I've even shut up so that I can listen to what Nick has to say. I'm
not saying it's not good. I'm just saying it's not exciting. Let's hear it.
Fun.
I want to hear you driving a forklift with the Playdate or something.
All right.
That is what I'm talking about.
Okay, there we go.
Make it difficult to control, as
Okay.
difficult as possible. But no, I was thinking
Nick,
about
whatever you were saying, say it all over again with jazz hands, please.
Please.
Okay, so
Audio jazz hands.
if you if you have a crank controller that you're using to crank some industrial machine, I just think that would be so fun. It would be such a better control scheme than a lot of industrial machinery, which is like a really slow touch panel or some other really slow serialized keyboard input.
Don wants
if
an
you
example.
had
Like a lathe or
almost
something.
any industrial machine, anything with a conveyor belt, anything with a Z axis. That was the big thing that sprang to mind immediately, was like on a laser cutter or an industrial 3D printer,
That
being
makes
able to set
skateboards.
the Z offset. Yeah, for making skateboards, CNC machines, anything of that nature. I think there are a million possibilities where a crank would be super useful, and using something like a Playdate, which is a commodity device, would be just a really clever and fun way to interface with those machines. Would never happen probably, but it's exciting to think about. And all of those devices use serial communication methods for those little front panel connector things. So anything is possible. The world's your oyster. Create a million industrial communication devices using Playdates. Link them together.
Didn't Saddam Hussein like power his entire military force with PS2s or something?
Oh my God.
Oh, that's a real thing. Well, I'm not joking.
I don't recall that, but I do know that PlayStation 3s were used.
Okay. That's what I'm thinking
for
of.
Skynet in one of the Terminator spin-offs. Anyway.
Fantastic. Okay, so Nick, tell me what this is going to look like when we link our Playdates together. Are we going to have like a gigantic battery pack between them that we can swing back and forth like a pendulum, or play double dutch with? Or what is this going to look like? Tell me what the future holds.
Two different ways. So if a microcontroller is needed, there would be some kind of device that would be encapsulated in plastic or something that you would take a USB-C cable and plug into.
We're still talking about this.
Yeah, we are. Because, I mean, you know, that sounds initially like it might be a little cumbersome, but what if you like put googly eyes on it?
We're in the bonus episode territory. We gotta start the real episode now.
Okay. Anyway.
All right, so we're moving on from the exciting. Don doesn't like Nick talking portion.
I'm fine with Nick talking. This is just a lot of nerd talk all at once.
Okay. You've done enough Nick shaming. You've done enough Nick shaming for this episode. What's next?
Nick is a valuable asset, but this is too much asset at once. That's all.
I mean, you gotta let him deliver some.
We gotta back that asset up.
All right, let's move on.
Thank you.
All right.
The Saddam Hussein thing was a hoax, by the way. I looked it up.
Okay, thanks, Don.
Believe it or not.
Skynet though is real.
Correct.
Is that? Yeah. Okay.
Are we doing news and notes right now?
I have no idea.
All right. Well, the next bullet point. You guys better be careful. I'm going to start booping. All right. The next news and note is Mike Suzak's plea for diversity in reviews. Mike Suzak, you might know from Raise the Flag and Code Word Play. He developed both of those games for the Playdate. And Mike basically got on Twitter and said, hey, why don't you cover more than 3 games, everyone? And because basically he's pointing to the Mars After Midnight, the Whitewater Wipeouts, and the games that outside of like the Playdate plugged in people, which is probably anybody listening to this podcast, that's kind of all the general public would know about the Playdate, is that there's a season. And here's these like top 3, top 5 games that keep getting mentioned over and over again. So I think what Mike's saying here is, hey, could you cover Raise the Flag and Code Word Play, please?
No.
But anyway, no.
Not at all.
So I think he's got a point.
Mm-hmm.
We should probably cover those 2 games, but also other games too, right? I mean, what do you guys think about this?
I think it's a great point. This happens with every console. You get a new console. Hey, what game should I buy first? There's a million questions like that. Get a PS5. What game should I buy first? And it's going to happen with the Playdate. But it doesn't mean there's not hundreds of other good games. And the way I found this is I was trying to share a sale on a pinball game, and Mike tagged us and said, "Hey, if you listen to the Hello Playdate podcast, you're going to hear about other games. But outside of stuff like this, as Ryan mentioned, you're really not going to get past that top layer and get into the hundreds of games. You're just going to hear the same 20 games." And also, I just noticed that Mike used to work at Joystick. Oh, I love that podcast. So yeah, rest in peace. So I asked Mike, I'm going to post a link to the thread that he posted. It's maybe 8 or 9 tweets here. But I asked him, well, what games would break the cycle? What games would you mention to somebody that aren't
code word play and raise the flag?
That aren't code word play, that aren't things like Island and Shift that we ourselves mention frequently because they're some of our favorite games. And so he gave us a list of 5 games. He said Conquest of Helios and Wizard's Apprentice, they're the same dev, Gravity Express, Sparrow Solitaire, Slitherlink PD, and Space Rat Miner. If you listen to our podcast, you're familiar with those titles, but if this is your first episode, those are good titles. Like, you probably haven't heard of these. They're not all on, well, maybe they are all on catalog at this point, but most of those started on itch, and this is like the one step down from the magazine articles, right? When you see the screen caps. And then there's several other layers from there. So what do you guys think? Nick, I cut you off and told you to shut up a couple minutes ago, but continue speaking. I give you permission.
I'm afraid to say anything now.
Don has passed the talking stick.
Right.
Thank you. Received. So I think this is a difficult problem. And as you said, Don, it's something that happens in the life cycle of every console. There are certain games that become like synonymous with the console, and it's hard to get people to understand necessarily that there are other amazing games on this platform. And the Playdate is just an embarrassment of riches. The number of high quality, good games on this platform is really intense for an outsider, I think. But it's a little difficult to get across the ways with which these games can be added. So what I mean by that, a new purchaser of the Playdate might be purchasing because it's been recommended to them, or they're interested in this kind of season idea, or they've heard about a big game like Mars After Midnight or something, and they're interested in purchasing for that reason. Getting them into the rest of the ecosystem is more of a challenge, even with an on-device store like Catalog. And I think Catalog, I've said this 100 times probably on this podcast, but once for each item that's been added to Catalog, at least. But it's so important to have that on-device store. It reduces the barrier for a person who is new to the Playdate to buy additional games outside of the season. It is amazing, and it's incredible the number of games that are on there. Play Jam games, which we're going to be talking about, all different kinds of games and experiments and demos and things. But having that quick on-device access is important. So recommendations become much easier if you can pop up the catalog page and say, hey, look, just go here on your device and then grab whatever game. And we all have, a lot of games that we can recommend because we've been doing this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
If we were not doing this podcast and weren't quite as plugged in, I don't know that it would be as easy to recommend the games that we would recommend. So my thoughts are kind of messy here, but basically it's a hard problem to solve. And having the ability to recommend to someone, hey, look, click this link and then it'll download to your Playdate magically is pretty amazing. And Itch is only one step removed from that. Click this link, download a thing, then upload it to another link, and magically it'll be on your Playdate. Pretty impressive too. But it requires, more effort. There's more involved with the
very
third party.
Slightly more effort. Yeah.
Yeah. So recommendations then become like, okay, here are the easiest things. And I see how this happens. And as you said, just going back to that, it happens on every console. So anyway, no easy solution there, but I think catalog is a major step in that direction. And not to point at us, but resources like Uncrank'd are important in keeping that thought active in everybody's mind. Like, hey, look, there is an amazing amount of development that happens on this console that are not the 5 things that everybody recommends. And having our podcast, we try to highlight not just a game, not just a major game, a show, but games from all types of developers on all storefronts. And we also talk about the latest releases as part of the thing that Don compiles every week, or every other week, rather. So there's a lot of games out there and things for people to recommend, but you've got to get people past the initial barriers to loading new games. And that's the most important thing. Then it's the recommendations.
They're making it more accessible, which is the big step.
Yeah. And it's super accessible, but there's still for
where do you start?
An initiate. Yeah, where do you start? And then, how do you even get into catalog? That seems like a silly thing to say, but it's reality.
There needs to be a bar. Yeah. You start with Mike's top 5. That's where you start.
There you go.
Top 5. It's not even hidden gems. I guess certain people gravitate towards the hidden gems, but we want not even rough gems. What's between a hidden gem and you've seen it too much?
Just
medium
gems.
Gem.
Medium gem. Topsoil. Okay. Well, if you're interested in giving us your top 5, email it in. What's it?
Yeah.
Helloplaydatepodcast@gmail.com. We're interested in shouting
want to hear
out
what
more
you
top
have
5s
to say as well. Yeah, especially if it's something that we haven't talked about on the show.
Definitely.
I was wondering about my opinion on this too, and it kind of goes like this.
So
instead of just talking about top 5s,
we're out of time.
I think we really need to talk about having a conversation with somebody about their interests. And I experienced this in comics, because in my mind, everything relates to comics. And way back when, I was getting into comics in a very big way. I'm a comics professor now, and an important person in my life said, "Oh, you're really into this. What would you recommend to me?" And I said, "Oh, well, here is this canonical book, and you should go read it, because that is, considered high art in comics." And I gave it to them, and they read it, and they brought it back to me, and I said, "Hey, what do you think?" And they're like, it wasn't for them. And so at that point, I'm like, oh, well, duh. What do you like? Like, what sort of media do you enjoy? What do you like to intake? And they're like, I like romantic comedies. Like, oh, okay, well then you'd love True Story, Swear to God by Tom Beelan. And I lent the person this series that I have, and they handed it back and they said, that was amazing. And so I think we really need to think about not just saying, here's my top 5. These are things that you should go play, but really having a more grassroots one-on-one conversation with people who are new to Playdate and say, hey, what do you like? Do you like puzzle platformers? Well, Fall of Elena Temple. Do you like strictly platformers? Do you like shoot 'em ups? Do you like spaceships? Do you like side scrollers? What do you like? What is it that you're into? RPGs. Playdate has everything. And I think that we could probably compile a pretty awesome top 5, 10, 20, umpteen of each of those categories. And that's the thing that I think really helps about catalog, is that it's not just a big dumpster dump of games like Itch. I don't mean to say that in a denigrating way about Itch. Itch has a ton of fantastic games, but catalog has really culled and tried to hone the games that they do have, and they compile them into different categories, just like I was talking about. So that's something, as far as I know, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I do not believe that Itch categorizes Playdate games into specific game categories. I mean, God, they hardly categorize Playdate games, period. It's hard to even find them sometimes. But anyhow, that's my 2 cents, that I think we should be doing more grassroots, on the ground, speaking, conversations, talking with one another, and especially new Playdate folks, and saying, hey, what are you into? Before we say, here's the hipster top 5 that you should be thinking about.
And then we hit them with the hipster top 5.
Well, on Itch, we usually share a link that's it's the games tagged Playdate. That's the way you want to search, tagged Playdate. But then on the sidebar, you can select genre, and then from there, select a tag like adventure. And then that will show the Playdate games that are tagged adventure. So like Legend of Etod is first, Under the Castle next, Wordland, etc.
On Itch?
On Itch, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for telling me
that.
That
sorts by popularity, I think, at the top, and then on down. I don't know if there's really a way to sort by, well, that would sort by ratings. Popularity is the ratings we always ask people to leave.
Is there a sort by medium gem category?
Scroll down like 4 pages. I don't know.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, Don. I did not know that was available. I appreciate it. Have we now talked about this news and note enough, or should we keep talking about it?
Well, I just want to say that Ryan's take is really awesome. So
yeah, good
thanks
idea
for that, Ryan.
Send us your top 5 sports games.
All right. I'm going to boop us into the next news and note, which is the fact that this is actually a really cool one. I just discovered this. Ocadrian is running a fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Hospital Research, and Panic is donating 5 Playdates to 5 lucky donors. We've got a link to this fundraiser. It was a little bit light on the information. I felt like maybe it was just because I was rushed when I was reading it, but I did not easily find how long we have to donate if you are trying to get into the running for these Playdates, but I think I found it. I think we've got 10 more days, which I think puts us through the end of May 2024. So if you hop over to our show notes in the next 10 days or before May 2024 ends, boy howdy, hop over there, send some money to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, and by golly, you should do that anyway. But if you want to get in the running for a Playdate from Panic, 5 lucky winners will get that. I think it's randomly drawn. I don't think it's based on amount that you're donating or anything, but I think it's a minimum donation of $25 to get into the running for the Playdate. Did I miss anything, guys?
No, you got it. I was going to say $25. So very nice.
Okay, sweet. So, Ocadrian, thank you. Big shout outs to you. Really appreciate you doing that. You're doing the Lord's work, man. Appreciate you being here and making very good things happen. Panic, thank you for supporting Ocadrian. And that brings us to bitty boop, our next news and note, which is the Uncrank'd Game Jam. Don, I think you're the one that's most qualified to talk about this.
Well, I talked to Nick, and it seems like he's played quite a few of these. But yeah, the Uncrank'd Play Jam wrapped up last week, and so we had a weekend of judging. I think that ends today. So I spent most of the weekend playing all of these games. There's 27 entries. I was able to play 25 of them.
That's a healthy game jam.
Yeah, that is a ton. And these were not just like, here's my first game. I've never done this before. There were a couple of those, and those were pretty good too. But most of these are like top tier really fleshed out experiences. So I was really impressed with the quality of games here. So let's run through some of them. Nick, please butt in with your thoughts as well.
Okay.
Sound like you played a healthy handful.
I played 11.
11, nice. So Brian, did you have a chance to try any of them yet?
I did have a chance to try some. As a matter of fact, I tried Well, should I save it for the podcast, Don?
You can save it for the podcast. I actually asked on our Discord with Game Jams, should we mention all the games? Should we run through them? Blah, blah, blah. And so we got some good feedback that we should at least mention all of them, even if we don't go into detail. So I will point out, I don't know if I should point out my favorites, but some highlights were a game called Masterworks Inc., Handmade Artisanal Goods.
I played that one.
Okay, cool. The theme was reflection and float. And so this one was reflection. It's kind of like they give you in grade school, you would draw a design on one side of a paper and fold it in half, flip it over, and then your friend has to draw the other half. You'd use your Playdate to crank and draw half of a heart or half of a hourglass. What did you think of this, Ryan?
It made me feel so inadequate. It was amazing. So when I was trying to draw with the crank and do what was happening on the other side, it really takes some getting used to. And I found myself getting in a state of like, a little bit, again, words always elude me.
Anxious?
Anxious. Yes. Thank you, Don. Anxious. I was in this anxious state. And when you do that, I'm like, and really crank that handle around. And when you do that, oh boy, howdy, it really makes that line move. So I really had to get like, breathe into a Zen state before I started drawing these things. And it was very interesting. I really enjoyed it. Don, what did you think? And Nick, did you play it too?
I did not. I know my limitations with artwork. But this, I'm looking at the GIF right now and it totally reminds me of you, Ryan. So
this is
inadequate drawing. Thank you.
No.
And this is by
mirror drawings. You made a whole book about it.
Yes, that's what they're called.
Thank you.
Fenchel was the dev on that, and that was one I really enjoyed. Digikarat always pops in on these. Prop of the class was their entry. It was like a what was it, Moonlander, Nick, that you compared it to?
Lunar Lander.
Yeah, Lunar Lander, but set in high school. So that was interesting. Very long animated cutscene before the game, which you can watch over and over.
Wait, what was that game called?
Prop of the class. You're on a
Prop
little
of the class.
copter, and you control the fans. Next up from Germser is Floaty McFloatface, Just Keep Floating, which is an excellent title. This one reminded me of Balloon Kid. You're inflating and deflating a balloon as it travels past thumbtacks for some reason, but it's got like a menu and everything. This one was fun, simple to play, cool. Difficult to master.
All right, Gary Stern, thank you.
All right. From Red Penguin, there was Safety Diver, which honestly didn't look like much, but I had a lot of fun with this one. I hope that this becomes like a quote real game. You're just like a little sub, and there's random, I guess, junk or coins, which you would head down vertically to collect. And then there's these boxes, and you want to try and dodge the boxes because if you touch one, you lose all your coins. And then when you hit the surface, the physics on this are so good. You like rocket out of the water, like Echo the Dolphin, and you can do spins, and that's how you bank your coins. It felt really good. The physics were so much fun. That one is Safety Diver. Next up from Fev Games is Shield Arena. This one, you have a shield and you're in an arena and you bounce bullets back and try and hit monsters. This one has amazing cover art. Did you try this one, Nick?
I did.
I
made it to the third set of enemies, so like wave 8 or 9, and yeah, it gets really challenging. It took a few plays for me to kind of figure out exactly what the deal was, but your shield has a preternatural ability to reflect directly to the enemy.
Yeah, I like that.
No matter where you are, and I was very appreciative of that.
This looks really interesting. It's like if Breakout and Zelda had a nice, loving evening together, and out popped Shield Arena. This is really interesting.
It's
you
really
control
fun.
the shield with your crank, and it's pretty satisfying.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's
I
pretty
guess
tricky too. It seems like a Ryan jam.
if I'm not shutting up, if you guys raise your hand, maybe that'll teach me to like, oh, they played it, I'll shut up and let you guys butt in if I'm blowing through them too fast. Next up, Dragon Flagon by Totally Under Control. This one, top to bottom, super polished. I have no idea how they created this in a week, nevertheless a month. But it's sort of like a potion. What was that one? Potion game that was in season one.
Oh, Ryan, you interviewed the
artists.
dev and the artist.
It is
Spell
the
Corked.
game that was made
Spell
by
Corked.
all the Ryans.
Yes.
Yeah, Spell Corked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It reminded me of Spell Corked. You're brewing beers and stuff. Yes. You're serving.
It reminded me of Tapper.
Yeah, it has some Tapper. Mm-hmm. You're trying to slide the beers down, and that was way more challenging than I thought.
The biggest challenge in the game, I thought.
That took some practice.
Man,
but you're making ice cream floats as a dragon.
Do any of these screenshots suck? I mean, gosh, this looks amazing.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how they did this.
It's really cool. You should. I'm going to say
this is a Toad gem.
You should give that a shot too.
Yeah, it's a Toad game.
Nice Toad. Goodness gracious, this looks incredible.
Next up is Crystal Bay by Kaiser Yami 8. This one, again, I don't know how they did this in a week. This one is similar to Dredge. You swim around in a 3D area, but you don't swim. You're on a boat. You go around in a 3D area and you dredge for treasure. And something I really liked about this one is when you hit the edge of the map, it just becomes foggy and you pop out the other side like Pac-Man. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
This reminded me a ton of the Wind Waker. I think they also referenced that in the edge page. But a lot of that game involves just crawling around the ocean and picking stuff out using a crane like this. So really cool. It was a lot of fun and very impressive. It was fast, snappy, all those good things.
Felt good. Next up by Bold Big Flank, One-Man Threat Ops. This one from the pictures looks pretty basic, like, oh, you played this 100 times. Top-down shooter like Kari Warriors or something. That's probably a very dated example of something you've seen many other times. Smash TV, I guess. But what's different about it?
Dated?
But still dated. What's different about it is you switch between sort of like a grenade and a gun, and you only have so much ammo, and there's sort of like puzzles, like you have to push a button that opens a door, so you're like doing puzzles while you're shooting, and there's enemies hidden, like they're not in your line of sight, you can't see them until you go around a corner, and so it's kind of like you're managing a bunch of systems at once, and it was pretty satisfying. It was like a good level of challenge. So I'm trying to think of how this was floaty. I guess the grenades float. I think that's how they're described. But anyway, it was cool. Next up by One Bit Date is Reflector Jam. This one is, there's kind of like puzzle pieces over an ocean, and you're reflecting a beam of light off of different mirrors, and you can adjust all the mirrors to get them to pop balloons. Like you have to pop all the circles or all the squares or all the whatever shape it is. This one plays very fast, and there's a timer, and you're just trying to get the highest score you can. Before your time's up. So this is a quick little arcadey game, but it was pretty fun. I'd like to see more maps if that one went further. Next one, super cute art is Quack Magic by Mr. Dan H and H Briggs. I'm assuming you guys played this one.
I did
no? Not. Oh, wow. This one
it's called Art is Quack Magic?
No, Quack Magic.
Oh.
Just Quack Magic. So this one, it was similar to like Monument Valley or something. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I didn't expect much, and then once the game started and you move the crank, it like turns into 3D and Bez style, and like the world started moving, and it like really surprised me how good the graphics were all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. What do you think, Nick? This one was weird. It was surprising.
Incredible.
I should say. Yeah.
I love this one. It reminded me a lot of those segments in A Link Between Worlds, as well as Monument Valley. It was a great mix of a lot of seemingly familiar things, but it was super fun. I was really sad when it was over. I really hope this one gets a larger release at some point.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to see this go further. I got stuck on, like, I think it might have been the last level. There was sort of a pixel hunt sort of thing where you had to get them just right to move your duck to the next pillar. But before that, I was cranking along.
Would you call this like a puzzler or a platformer, or what
A
would you?
puzzler.
It's a puzzle
Interesting.
platformer, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at this 3D rotating cube thing going on. Looks amazing.
Yeah,
Like
it's
I,
wild.
I thought it
Incredible.
was just
Yeah.
gonna rotate the cubes around and you would see the same faces of the cube as they move around, but no, it's like fully rendered. It's quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice work on Quack Magic.
Yeah, it
What
came
else we
out that
got?
came out of nowhere. Life's Too Short, a series that we all enjoy quite a bit. This one's Life's Too Short on Reflection, a very short narrative in a little tower, and of course you play a little ghost and run up and down the tower and get a little story out of it. It was really cute. I think I was able to finish the story in under 20 minutes or so, but it was fun. It was satisfying. It had a good
Yeah.
narrative. So,
Yeah. Nice message.
mhm.
I will budget 2 hours to play that one then. Thank you.
Oh no. I think you can. So I ended up the first version had a bug with the save, and I had to stop after 5 minutes to help my daughter with something. So I replayed it, and even replaying it was fairly quick. There's only so many things you can interact with, and it wasn't annoying to replay. Like, even the dialogue's funny and stuff. So enjoyed that. Duck Game by Osuka, the dev of Super Corporate Tax Invader, which Nick pointed out earlier. This one, you're a little duck, and basically you can swim through and dodge a bunch of other ducks, or you can collect a bunch of other ducks. And this game has 3 different endings depending on what you do. It has a radio station with different songs, different genres of songs that are really clever and funny. Yeah, this one's really fun. You got to try it.
Yeah. And as you swim along, there are different human obstacles and they have funny things to say. It's a lot of fun. I got all 3 endings. This is another one I was left wanting more. I hope that comes to be at some point. But it's a lot of fun in its current form too.
Short but charming. I think I got all 3 endings in like 5 minutes, so it's a quick play. By Z Nelson was a game called Blown Away, and I had a super hard time with this one. It's like it's a paper airplane meets Flappy Bird, and you can either blow into the Playdate to blow the plane up and down, or you can use controls.
That's challenging.
It was very difficult. I did not get very far. So if you have any pro tips, let me know about Blown Away. I had a tough time. Siege of Syracuse.
Wait, I'm sorry. I
Yes.
think this is the Nick question. How the heck does that even work? Are you making noise and the Playdate is receiving how much noise you're making?
On a technical level, yeah.
Okay.
But so if you blow into a microphone, it makes a really loud noise, basically, for a sustained period of time.
Okay. You can scream, cool. Ryan.
Interesting.
Scream.
Yeah.
Away.
What exactly are you asking?
what was the game that had us do that? It was a fishing game that we played a while back, and the name is escaping me, but you had to, it encouraged you to say like oh gosh, there was a series of things that you did. First was like whip the Playdate to bring something in, and then you like call for someone like come on over or something like that. Anyway, I was doing that in my living room and absolutely driving my son nuts. Because that's how I work with everyone, evidently. So anyway, I was just curious how this worked. Long story short. Thank you, Nick.
Okay. Siege of Syracuse is a game where it's like a tower defense. You are reflecting the sun off of a mirror, and ships are coming towards your castle, and you're trying to burn them up and sink them before they get to your castle.
Go ahead. I enjoyed this one too. I was drawn to it from the historical aspect because that's pretty fun. I thought that was a cool tie-in on reflection floating. But
one of the bigger files because of the long voiceover intro.
It was revised and made much smaller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's only 9 megabytes now.
I saw somewhere that was Bruce Campbell doing the voiceover.
Is that true?
Well, I don't know if they took the file from somewhere. Maybe it just sounded like it when someone was joking, but
maybe they did.
I don't know.
That'd be a good get.
Yeah, that was by Divin Gavrin. Next up from Nick Mendoza is Lake Hero. Do you remember Tubin? Do you guys remember that game? Arcade game?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is similar to Tubin, but with puzzle elements. You're in a little tube and you're trying to collect trash and not run into spikes. But the trash and the spikes look pretty similar, so it's a little tricky. But it was pretty fun. I wish there was kind of an indicator showing which direction was forward on your tube, because sometimes it was hard to tell what was front and what was back. But otherwise, I enjoyed that one.
Sounds amazing otherwise. Huh.
Yeah, that was a cool idea. Torpedo Trouble was super simple. This one is by W Butts 1. And basically, you're just a ship and you use the crank to avoid torpedoes coming at you. And it doesn't move super smooth or anything, but there was something really satisfying about turning at just the right time and having the torpedoes smash into each other, and you get 50 extra points if that happens. And so I ended up getting just the right angle and played forever. I just sat it down and it just kept playing itself, but it still was really charming, and the sound effects are really cool. So worth a look. One of my favorite games from Damosh Games is Obel Trouble. This one, I didn't know. I read the instructions first and was like, I have no idea what the hell this is. What's going on here?
It told you exactly what was going on there.
I know, but
instructions.
It sounded so confusing. This one uses motion controls, which I usually hate, but they worked so well.
Yeah.
You are using the motion controls to quickly match two shapes before death on the river Styx or whatever it is. Sharon, right?
Sharon.
Reaches you, yep. Charon. Aunt Sharon
Charon.
matches you, Charon, yeah. Reaches your one of the shapes, basically. So you're quickly
Karen
bouncing.
Approaches you with some racist comment.
Karen, ask for the manager. So you're quickly basically moving the playdate back and forth, matching shapes is what I'm getting at. But it works so well, and it's like really compelling, and it has a really good difficulty curve. So I highly recommend checking that one out too.
Yeah, this was a game that I played as well. I thought the concept was really great. John Damos, don't listen to Don on this one. I thought it was great. I actually felt like it was a little too easy, because one of the things that Damos Games said in the words before the game starts is that you can press A or left to turn your shield around so that you're not reflecting something for a while, so you don't make you don't make Karen upset. You don't make her talk to the manager. And then there was a hint like, hey, player, I might recommend that you press this after getting a shape right. And so I did that. And that made my game go from like 2 matches to 1,000,000 matches straight away. So I feel like there's some sort of a middle ground that we could strike that, I don't know, if maybe the time that the shield is turned around is too long or something. Anyway, John Damos, I think you're doing an amazing job with this game. I'm only mentioning this because I think it has so much potential, and it was one of the few games I played. So great job.
I played this one as well, and I also had that fun moment of realization that hitting A made a huge difference, and thanks for the instruction there. But I did not get 1,000,000 matches, Ryan. I'm very impressed. My number of matches substantially less than 1,000,000.
I think I got, what was it, 600 or something?
Oh my gosh.
Is that something?
That's incredible.
I was like 40 or something.
No,
yeah,
like I think the points
officially
the points were in the hundreds, right? Is that
okay? Yeah, my points were in the hundreds, so I think I did like 40 times. It was like 2 or 3 minutes, I think.
Oh yeah. It lasted a whole lot longer than my first try. I felt like I kind of was having an easy go of it after I figured out that A thing. Is my only point.
Pro gamer.
No, please. Next game.
Ryan, back up just a little bit so I don't have to edit so much. Oh, thank you so much. Next one, I don't know how to say this. Montgolfier Brothers Test Flight. You're in a balloon. You hold A to go up to like let the gas on the balloon, and you let go to fall down, and there's windmills. So you're trying to just use the windmills to go up and down. The physics feel good, and it was pretty fun. That is by Rapco.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I spent a lot of time replaying it, trying to see how far I could go. And it also reminded me of Balloon Kid, maybe because it was a hot air balloon. But it was a lot of fun and very smooth.
I like these gifts here. It's like each of those windmills is a power up. It sort of reminds me of those power bars in Mario Kart or something, speeding you along. Those are always the fun thing to hit. Looks fun.
You're chasing a timer, so if you don't make it to a checkpoint before the time runs out, it's game over.
Cool.
Yep.
Next up, Number One Fan by Klong46. This one is a puzzle game. You're using fans to suck and blow a balloon around a maze of spikes to get it to your buddy. This one was pretty fun, but then I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 puzzles in, I got to I couldn't do it. Like I knew what needed to happen, but I couldn't get the fan to catch the balloon. And I tried over and over and over by pixel, and just couldn't get through it. But the concept was fun. So
I played this one and I was excited for the concept. I couldn't finish stage 1, so I'm impressed that you made it all the way through stage 5. So I must be missing something in the controls, or something, or understanding generally.
Yeah, it's a little difficult to see the fans on the brick background, but that's a bummer. Next up from Irish Jimmy, Cooking for Crabtopia. This is another cute little game. You go around getting ingredients to cook lunch, and each ingredient you do a little mini game, like Space Invader-y thing or Crackpots type thing.
This looks like a pulpy game, maybe?
Yeah.
Is this kind of a pulpy game? Okay.
For sure, this is pulp. This one didn't have a super annoying music, which is a huge... I've said many times I'm sick of pulp music, and this one was pretty okay. Next up, House. House was very buggy, but I liked what was there. This is by Lunark. You are solving your own mystery you're a little ghost in a house. So you pick up clues, and when you think you have so many clues, you can push a button to answer questions about, oh, how did I die? Who killed me? What did they use? That kind of thing. It's Clue, but you're by yourself. And it just needed more time to work out the bugs, but it's Game Jam, so there's only so much you can do. But I really like the concept, and the narrative was fun. Cloudly Aware is about depression and a lot of emotional themes, but it's sort of like what is it, Reach the Ocean by Zanya. Like it's a pulp game where you're basically walking along clouds and dodging lightning bolts and stuff, and then there's little mini games mixed in, and you get different power-ups, and then you go to make it to a different area to get over different types of emotions and stuff. It had a lot of good ideas. There were some bugs, like I fell into one hole where it just kept killing me over and over, but I think when this one gets bug proofed, it's really a really interesting concept. So that's Cloudly Aware. Next up, Jelly Float by Toaster Games. I think a lot of people really enjoyed this one. What is this, Nick? Like did you try this one? You're like blowing a little jellyfish around?
No, I didn't try this one.
You're blowing a jellyfish around a maze. It feels like you played it before, but the physics feel really good. And there's like a million levels. There's like 50 levels or something in this.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's challenging, but the physics are good. So yeah, I don't know. Worth a look.
Okay, you're selling me on this one, and I'm seeing 3 different options for downloading. What should I download here?
It's loading.
Jelly Float Dink Free.
So when you start, there's like these little, I think they're bubbles or something. Every time they hit a wall, it goes dink. And the first stage, there's 4 of them bouncing in this little cavern. You can see the title screen on there. So it's like ding, 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 ding. It's super irritating. So you just get out of that stage as quick as you can. I'm assuming that's what that means.
Well,
okay.
That sounds seems like not the one that Ryan would want, though.
Right? Give me the all boob version. No, I'll download that because that looks like it's the most recent version they uploaded?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm guessing. I did not get that version.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's let you know how silent it is.
Right. Pappy Show by Mo HDI and Agustin. This one, how do you guys describe this? It's another mirror. It's a mirror game, but somehow you get points to like embarrass your ex-girlfriend or something.
I didn't quite understand the narrative there, but yeah, you can pick different parts of the body to rotate, and then you can move closer to or farther away from a mirror, which is located in the center of the Playdate screen. So you can create all kinds of horrifying designs of your own body there, and occasionally, when you have enough viewers, that's the score, which is in the upper right. Your body will change in some way. So you'll get glasses or you'll change your outfit. And as you're performing, as you're rotating the crank or doing whatever you're doing, when you rotate the crank, it rotates that body part that's selected. So one leg, one arm, your head, the torso, whatever. But as you're doing that, you'll get either thumbs up or thumbs down from people watching. And occasionally someone might give you a rose for your performance. That means they really like it. But I wasn't quite able to figure out exactly what people wanted to see. So I had a hard time consistently increasing viewership as I was playing. But I was curious to see more.
It says, dive into Pappy Show where you use a closet mirror to express yourself.
That's so wonderful. It looks like a little YouTube channel here. Someone making their closet. It was fun. It's silly. And definitely worth a look. And it works really well.
It's very smooth, yeah.
And then Rorschach by Ginger Beard Man. This one is similar. It's a mirrored display where you kind of do Etch-a-Sketch with a line, and you can use the Playdate to change the opacity and size of the line. So as you're moving and making different designs, you can obviously change the way the line looks. So if you look at the page, he's got a lot of different cool patterns here. Mine were not nearly as cool looking as this. I'm not sure how he got these nice curves. I couldn't really get any curves on mine.
Well, this supports the mouse.
Oh, that must be how he did it. Yeah. Yeah, all mine were very geometric, but
so this is Mirror Drawings, the Playdate game.
Yes.
Nice.
It's a cool little toy, basically. And then Thought Bubble by ETMM and Boatload by Trollarg. I have not tried yet. I tried and could not get them to run. I will try and get to Boatload, but Thought Bubble is down right now. And that's all of them. So that was a super deep dive on Uncrank'd Play Jam.
Zowie. That was a lot of games. So did you guys get this message? Maybe I shouldn't say this publicly. I will anyway. Did you guys get this message from Zanya where she was like, hey, do you guys mind mentioning this on your podcast? And I was like, ooh, maybe they're not getting very many submissions, but my land, this is a nutty amount of submissions for this game jam. I'm very impressed.
We were going to mention it either way, but it was way more submissions than I expected.
Totally.
I mean, not that I expected none or anything, but I thought there'd be like a dozen, 15. Like most of the play jams are in that ballpark. A lot of people will say they're going to make a game and then only so many do, but this was crazy.
Yeah, very impressive. Nice work, Uncrank'd, Zanya, Pizza Fuel, Dominic Haas for putting this together. Very impressed over here. And Don, thank you for the deep dive. So I think we're still in the news and notes. Good God.
We are.
So we'll make these last couple kind of quick, hopefully. I wanted to mention that Radio FM4 interviewed Zanya Lasagna. So a fellow named Robert Glashutner interviewed Zanya about Uncrank'd magazine, and we've got we've got a link to that in the show notes for today's episode. And last but not least is Donathan. Take it away.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the Play Jam 5 winner. We didn't really talk about the Play Jam 5 from possibly the Axolotl, but the winner was a game called Discontrolled. So there will be a link in the show notes. That is by Franchovy, and it's a really cute looking puzzle platformer. So I've not tried it yet, but downloaded, haven't played.
All
so
right.
Check out the link in the show notes.
Very good. Well, I think this brings us to a hoobity boop boop private sidebar. Hey guys, I have a thought. We're at like an hour already.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Talk about your game next time and indie inventory next time, Don?
It's either, yeah, I was thinking either cut one or the other, or yeah, probably maybe both.
I mean, I think that this is the Uncrank'd Game Jam episode.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that way.
Okay. Well, let's
do you
do
think,
that.
Nick? Do you have a strong feeling?
I don't have a strong feeling.
Okay, let's come back in 2 weeks and talk about Don's game, which was Mad City. It'll give us another couple weeks to really dive into it even further. If you haven't done so already, a little more time to do that. Hop over on the Discord. We are chatting about it in there, and so is the dev. So cool that we get access to folks who are making these games just because we're playing them. So hop over into the Hello Playdate Podcast Discord. You can also email us, helloplaydatepodcast@gmail.com. We're on the Instagrams at Hello Playdate. You can call us on the bingo tip lines. We got a call a couple episodes ago, and that made us all so happy. And you can make us happy all over again. If you call 724-BINGOS1, that's 724-246-4671. That's a really for real phone number. If you call it, you can actually leave a message, and maybe we can guilt Don into editing it into the show. Are there other ways of getting a hold of us that I'm not thinking of? I feel like I always miss something.
We're on Threads and Blue Sky. There'll be links in the show note. And it was
The
Garrett.
Blueskies.
Garrett made the phone call. I don't think we actually said his name last episode.
We are the worst. Garrett, thank you so much for calling in. It really did make our day listening to that. And then a week and a half passed by. And then, anyway, we're the worst. Thank you for calling in, Garrett.
We appreciate it.
If you would also like to emphasize our worstness, you can call the Bingos tip line at that number that I mentioned, 724-BINGOS1.
Indeed. See you soon.